Chapter 1. Meeting Wisdom, Socrates and His Questions. In ancient Athens, amid bustling marketplaces and towering temples, there lived a man who sought neither fame nor fortune. His name was Socrates. Though he left behind no written works, his voice still echoes in every question we ask ourselves. Socrates was not a scholar in the conventional sense. He was a wanderer of thought, strolling through the city streets, stopping strangers to ask questions not to trap them, but to awaken their desire to think. His method was simple yet profound. Ask questions that provoke doubt, reflection, and the search for truth. "I know that I know nothing," he famously declared, and in these words lay his deepest wisdom. To admit one's ignorance is to open the door to true knowledge. But not everyone in Athens understood Socrates. His questions were seen as dangerous, his call for honesty a challenge to the established order. Eventually, he was accused of corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods. The trial was harsh, and Socrates accepted the verdict to drink hemlock, a deadly poison. His death became a symbol of devotion to truth and freedom of thought. Chapter 2. An Era of Change and the Voice of a New Age. Friedrich Nietzsche. Centuries passed. The world changed, and with it, the questions people asked themselves. In the 19th century, during the rise of industrialization and the collapse of old beliefs, a philosopher emerged who sought not just to understand the world, but to transform humanity itself. His name was Friedrich Nietzsche. Born into a pastor's family, Nietzsche rejected traditional religious dogmas from a young age. A solitary figure plagued by illness, his mind burned brighter than most. He wrote sharp, concise thought aphorisms that struck like lightning, illuminating the darkness of old convictions. "God is dead," he proclaimed. These words were not a cry of despair but a challenge. The old moral foundations were crumbling, and humanity stood on the brink of a new era. Nietzsche dreamed of the Übermensch, the overman, one who could create new values and become the architect of his own life and destiny. He saw the will to power not as a thirst for domination over others, but as a drive for self-mastery and control over one's own life. His philosophy was a call to courage, freedom, and creativity. But Nietzsche's path was fraught with hardship. One cold day in Turin, he witnessed a coachman cruelly beating his horse. This moment marked a turning point. Soon his mind began to unravel, and the great philosopher descended into madness. Chapter 3. Two Paths to Freedom. Socrates and Nietzsche lived in different eras, yet their quests were strikingly similar. Socrates taught us to ask questions, to doubt, and to seek truth. Nietzsche urged us to create our own rules, to fearlessly break the old, and to become creators of our own lives. Both spoke of freedom, but Socrates' freedom was the freedom of thought and honesty, while Nietzsche's was the freedom of creativity and will. Today, as the world changes faster than ever, their lessons remain vital. We can learn from Socrates the courage to question and from Nietzsche the courage to create. Epilogue. What remains for us? The stories of Socrates and Nietzsche are not just tales of great men. They are invitations to each of us. Invitations to be honest with ourselves, to embrace doubt and change, to forge our own destinies and live fully. For, as Nietzsche said, that which does not kill us makes us stronger. And Socrates reminded us that admitting our ignorance is the first step toward wisdom. Expanded sections and additional reflections. The world of Socrates, Athens in the 5th century BCE. To truly understand Socrates, we must step into the vibrant city of Athens during its golden age. The city was alive with debate, art, and politics. Citizens gathered in the agora, the marketplace, not just to trade goods, but to exchange ideas. Democracy was young, and with it came a new spirit of questioning authority. Socrates was a familiar figure in this lively scene. He wore simple clothes, had a rough appearance, and spoke plainly. Yet his presence commanded attention. Unlike the sophists, who charged for teaching rhetoric and persuasion, Socrates sought genuine knowledge. He believed that wisdom was not about winning arguments, but about understanding life itself. His method, now called the Socratic method, was revolutionary. Instead of lecturing, he asked probing questions that exposed contradictions and forced people to think deeply. This approach was unsettling to many, especially those who claimed to have knowledge but could not defend it. Nietzsche's philosophy in context, the crisis of modernity. Fast forward to 19th century Europe, a time of rapid change. The Industrial Revolution transformed societies, science challenged old beliefs, and traditional religion lost its unquestioned authority. People felt unmoored, searching for meaning in a world that seemed to be losing its moral compass. Nietzsche's declaration that God is dead captured this crisis. It was not a celebration, but a stark recognition that the old certainties were gone. Without these foundations, humanity faced a terrifying freedom, the need to create new values from scratch. Nietzsche's Übermensch was not a distant ideal, but a call to action. It was an invitation to rise above conformity, to embrace life's challenges, and to become the artist of one's own existence. This was a radical break from the past, demanding immense courage and creativity. The personal struggles behind the philosophy. Both Socrates and Nietzsche faced personal trials that shaped their philosophies. Socrates endured public scorn and ultimately death for his beliefs. His calm acceptance of his fate reflected his commitment to living authentically. Nietzsche battled chronic illness and isolation. His mental collapse in Turin was tragic, but it underscored the intensity of his intellectual and emotional struggles. Despite his suffering, his writings continue to inspire those who seek to live boldly, applying their wisdom today. What can we learn from these two giants? From Socrates, we learn the power of questioning. In a world flooded with information and opinions, asking the right questions helps us find clarity and avoid deception. From Nietzsche, we learn the importance of self-creation. Rather than passively accepting inherited values, we are challenged to define our own purpose and live with passion. Together, their teachings encourage a life of thoughtful courage, a life where we neither accept everything at face value nor shy away from the responsibility of shaping our own destiny. Chapter 4. The Marketplace of Ideas, Socrates in Action. Imagine the bustling agora of Athens, where merchants shout their wares, citizens debate politics, and philosophers wander, seeking minds to engage. Among them walks Socrates, unassuming in appearance, but formidable in spirit. He approaches a young man boasting of his wisdom. "Tell me, my friend," Socrates begins, "what is justice?" The young man replies confidently, "Justice is giving each his due." Socrates nods thoughtfully. "And if a friend asks you to return a weapon he lent you, but you know he plans to use it for harm, is it just to return it?" The young man hesitates. "I suppose not." Then, Socrates smiles. "Justice cannot be simply giving each his due, can it? For sometimes what is due may cause harm." This simple exchange illustrates the Socratic method. Through questions, assumptions are tested, and deeper understanding is sought. Socrates did not claim to have answers. He believed that wisdom begins with recognizing one's ignorance. Chapter 5. Nietzsche's Letters, a glimpse into the mind of a philosopher. Nietzsche's life was marked by intense intellectual labor and profound loneliness. His letters reveal a man wrestling with his ideas and his health. In one letter to a friend, he writes, "I am a forest and a night of dark trees, but he who is not afraid of my darkness will find banks full of roses under my cypresses." Here, Nietzsche invites us to embrace the complexity of life, the darkness, and the beauty intertwined. His philosophy is not a call to despair, but to courageously face life's contradictions. Chapter 6. The Trial of Socrates, a Dialogue of Courage. The trial of Socrates is one of history's most dramatic moments. Accused of corrupting the youth and impiety, Socrates stands before the jury. When asked to defend himself, he says, "I do not know whether I have corrupted the youth or not, but I do know that I have never intentionally harmed anyone. I have only sought to encourage questioning and reflection." He refuses to abandon his mission, even when offered a chance to escape. His calm acceptance of death is a testament to his belief that living unjustly is worse than dying. Chapter 7. Nietzsche's Turin Breakdown. The moment of collapse. In January 1889, Nietzsche's mental health shattered. Witnesses recount how he threw his arms around a horse being whipped in the street, sobbing uncontrollably. This moment marked the end of his productive life, but the beginning of his legend. Despite his illness, Nietzsche's writings continued to influence generations, reminding us that great ideas often come from great struggle. Chapter 8. Reflections, the Legacy of Two Philosophers. Socrates and Nietzsche challenge us to live authentically, Socrates teaches the value of questioning and humility. Nietzsche, the power of self-creation and courage. Their lives remind us that philosophy is not abstract theory, but a lived practice, a journey toward freedom and truth.